Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the School of Music. We ask that you take a moment to turn off any electronic devices so as not to distract from this evening's performance. Please note, due to copyright restrictions, audio and video recording are not permitted. Thank you, and enjoy the performance.
Good evening. Welcome to my lecture recital on the choral music of Tzivi Sherf. Born in 1948, Tzivi Sherf is a prominent Israeli composer who has built a career that includes professional arranging, composing, conducting, and singing. He was born and raised in Kibbutz Dalia, and his foundational musical training included choral singing and violin performance. Sherf was drafted into the Israel Defense Forces when he turned 18 and served as an artillery officer. His period of conscription was 30 months. After completing his service, he considered whether he should pursue a career in the arts or a more practical career path. At this time, he chose to study computer engineering. He was drafted into the Army a second time in his 20s, and when he completed his service, he decided to pursue music, and in 1975, enrolled at the Academy of Music in Tel Aviv. During this period, he honed his skills as a guitarist, singer, violinist, and arranger, and began singing in and arranging music for choirs. In 1987, Sherf established two professional vocal ensembles, the chamber choir, choral ensemble, and the vocal jazz quartet Kav Arba, or in English, line number 4, in both of which he performs as a bass vocalist. Choral Ensemble has released 4 albums: Choral Ensemble in 1994, Troubadour in 2010, At This Time in 2017, and a recording of Sherf's composition Kachome Bayad Hayotzer, or in English, As Clay in the Potter's Hand, in 2019. Choral Ensemble has earned international recognition, including the first place award in the mixed choirs category at the 1997 In Canto sul Garda Second International Choir Competition. Currently, Sherf dedicates his efforts to directing, conducting, and training choral ensembles, in addition to composing and arranging. Sherf's compositional output is substantial, with 111 works available for purchase on his website, as well as 53 commissions, 18 of which originated from the Israeli Vocal Ensemble. His works are self-published and predominantly consist of arrangements of Jewish and Ladino folk and traditional songs and Israeli popular songs, which make up 90% of his catalog. These compositions have been recorded and performed by prominent choirs in Israel and across the globe. In Israel, his works have been performed and premiered by notable ensembles such as the Kamaran Choir, the Israeli Vocal Ensemble, HaKibbutz Ha'artzi Choir, Nema Women's Chorus, and numerous children's choirs, including Moran, Hefroni, Bat Kol, and Maitar. Resources that were helpful for this study fall into 4 categories: those that provide information about Israeli popular music, those that provide information about Jewish traditional music, those that provide information about the Sephardic people and their music and language, and those that provide information related to Sherf's biography and style. Currently, there are no published books, theses, or comprehensive research documents dedicated to Tzivi Sherf. Information regarding Sherf's biography, compositional characteristics, and selected works, including audio and video samples, are available on his official website. My personal interviews and correspondence with Sherf supplement these resources. For my research, I have created a biography and a complete catalog of Sherf's choral compositions to date. I have also examined his compositional style and the influences that have shaped his output. I've selected 10 representative arrangements by Tzvi Scherf. Sapari Tammo, Adon Haselichot, Kachomer Bayad Hayotzer, Mizmor Leila, Niga El Hachalom, Anashim Tovim, Hem Bazamer Hazeh, Arvoles, Dorme Mi Angelico, and Puncha Puncha. For these works, I have provided information about the texts, including sources, translations, and cultural contexts, and analyses of musical elements, including form, harmony, melody, musical sources, and textures. Statement of primary thesis. Tzvi Scherf's choral arrangements of traditional Jewish and Ladino songs and popular Israeli songs are sophisticated, yet accessible interpretations of their source material. Biographical information about the composer, an examination of the cultural and historical context of his arrangements, and detailed musical and textual analyses of 10 representative arrangements can provide support for conductors who wish to study and perform his choral music. Jewish traditional songs. The term traditional, in the context of Jewish music, warrants clarification, as its definition is culturally nuanced. Traditional, in this context, refers to folk songs from other countries whose Jewish populations have immigrated to Israel. Noted Jewish scholar Dr. Joshua Jacobson shared, quote, Zionist pioneers were intent on erasing the culture of diaspora and ghetto culture and building a home for the new Jew in the land of Israel. In Israel, they would speak Hebrew, not Yiddish. They would exchange their European names for modern Hebrew names. It was important to have a body of folklore for this new culture, but they had rejected the old lachrymose Yiddish folk songs. New songs had to be created, joyous songs in Hebrew about the new and old land. These songs had to resemble folk songs, and so they were often presented as created by traditional or anonymous. End quote. It is common that these songs are arranged and performed by popular artists, blurring the lines between popular, folk, and traditional music. These songs draw from multiple textual and musical sources, including the Bible, Russian music, Ashkenazic Jewish folk music, Hasidic tunes, Sephardic melodies, Arabic music, prayers, and original Israeli compositions. A specific genre, known as Shirai Eretz Israel, or Songs of the Land of Israel in English, is also considered to be Israeli folk music. Sapari Tammo, or in English, Tell Me, Innocent One, is an arrangement of a traditional Jewish Yemenite folk song. Following the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, numerous Jewish communities from Muslim-majority countries across Africa and Asia immigrated to the newly found state. This particular song traveled from Yemen to Israel as approximately 49,000 Yemenite Jews immigrated to the new state. While Scherf's arrangement employs text from 17th century Rabbi Sa'adia ben Amram, other settings of this melody feature different texts. The Jewish Yemenite community maintained relative isolation from other Jewish communities for generations prior to their immigration to Israel. This isolation contributed to the preservation of ancient Jewish traditions, including prayers, Jewish laws, and customs. This preservation extended to a gezira, or rabbinic law, which prohibited the use of instruments in music making. This was instituted to prevent violations of a Torah commandment and originated after the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in year 70 of the Common Era. This eventually became codified as halacha, or Jewish law, which constitutes the comprehensive system of religious laws, ordinances, commandments, and practices governing Jewish life. Due to their non-melodic nature, percussion instruments were not considered musical instruments and were therefore used to accompany songs by both Jews and Muslims in Yemen. Despite these restrictions, flutes and stringed instruments were occasionally played in the home, though this practice was not widespread. Consequently, the Yemenite Jewish community made singing their primary form of sacred expression and incorporated vocal ornamentation and vocal bowls into their traditions. Scherf integrates these elements into his arrangement through the use of non-lexical interjections such as wo, we, hiwi, and awe. See Table 1 on the handout. Rabbi Sa'adia ben Amram, the poet responsible for the most commonly used text of Sapari Tammo, was a significant figure in 17th century Yemenite Jewish cultural and religious history. His compositions, primarily in Hebrew, commonly feature biblical, Kabbalistic, and mystical allusions. This intricate layering of meaning is characteristic of the Piyut, a Hebrew liturgical poem. His texts are compiled in the Diwan, an anthology of religious poetry in the Jewish Yemenite paraliturgical practice. While the complete poem consists of 11 verses, it is common for arrangers to only set 2 of them. Scherf follows this practice, setting 2 verses of the poem, and his arrangement includes repetition of the 2nd and 4th lines of both verses. Yemenite poetry frequently employs allegorical expressions drawn from the Kabbalah and esoteric writings, often symbolizing the relationship between God and the self. The primary theme explored in Sapari Tammo is the unity and interaction of the body and soul. The lyrics portray the struggle between the poet and his soul, personified as a dove. This dialogue suggests that while the soul yearns for celestial bliss, it must remain grounded in earthly existence. Scherf's arrangement of Sapari Tammo is 3 minutes long and is scored for SATB chorus, soloist, guitar, and darbuka, which is a type of drum. Though basic rhythms are written for the small hand drum, it is performance practice that the percussionist should improvise around these patterns. This can be heard in the recording of Scherf's arrangement on Choral Ensemble's album, Troubadour. Scherf structures the first 3 stanzas of Amram's text as a single musical section, with the final stanza serving as a refrain. And this pattern is repeated a second time. The piece commences with a 4-bar introduction and concludes with a coda. See Table 2. Throughout the A section, Scherf employs an antiphonal texture, placing the melody in unison between the tenor and bass voices, and then between the soprano and alto voices. Each group presents a phrase of text independently before converging with the full ensemble, then returning to a unison presentation. In this first verse, Scherf personifies the soul and self through the tenors and basses, while the sopranos and altos embody the dove. This is particularly evident when the dove voices sing, "My dove answered, Sa'adia, I went up to the palaces," followed by the full choir's repetition, unified, of "I went up to the palaces." This can be seen in musical example 1. Notably, the material presented in the C section features a dynamic contrast between upbeat interjections from the instruments and the choir's highly melismatic homophonic passages. Rhythm plays a significant role throughout Scherf's arrangement. The alternation of meter faithfully preserves the rhythm of the original melody, and Scherf further signals a shift in musical material by changing the rhythmic pattern in the instrumental parts. He contrasts the initial offbeat rhythmic scheme with one characterized by a straight syncopation, in which eighth notes are grouped into a 3+3+2 pattern. See musical example 2. Sapari Tammo exemplifies Scherf's ability to synthesize traditional melodies into sophisticated arrangements with attention to text and characterization. Israeli popular songs. Israeli popular music extends to the pre-state era of Israel, with the earliest songs being the Shirai Eretz Yisrael, or, in English, Songs of the Land of Israel. Poetry and music for this emerging genre were written during the 1930s and 1940s, the years leading up to the establishment of the state. This musical tradition is a reflection of Israel's geopolitical position, blending Western harmonic frameworks with Middle Eastern modal systems. Over time, Israeli popular music diversified significantly, incorporating genres such as folk, rock, pop, Mizrahi, hip-hop, and electronic. Seminal artists like Naomi Shemer and Shalom Hanoch have shaped this canon with their compositions. Songs from these and other successful Israeli popular artists are frequently arranged, covered, or reinterpreted by musicians such as Zivi Sherf. Mizmor Laila, or in English, Psalm of the Night, is an arrangement of a composition by Israeli singer-songwriter Ahinoam Nini, professionally known as Noah, and guitarist-arranger Gil Dor, with lyrics by Leah Goldberg. Ahinoam Nini is a distinguished figure in contemporary Israeli music, recognized as a singer-songwriter, percussionist, poet, composer, and human rights activist. Her career is defined by a synthesis of varied musical styles and a commitment to promoting peace and coexistence. Her musical repertoire spans many genres, including pop, jazz, blues, and folk. Noah's collaboration with guitarist Gil Dor for their 1993 album, titled Ahinoam Nini and Gil Dor, features songs based on the poetry of both Leah Goldberg and Rachel Zapira. This album features Mizmor Laila and has achieved platinum sales and garnered widespread acclaim in Israel and internationally. Leah Goldberg was a prolific and influential Russian-Israeli poet, author, playwright, literary translator, researcher, and professor. She is acknowledged as one of the preeminent poets of modern Hebrew literature. Goldberg expressed a commitment to writing exclusively in Hebrew. Her contributions were recognized posthumously with the Israel Prize for Literature in 1970, and her image and poetry are featured on the Israeli 100 new shekel banknote. Goldberg's poem, Mizmor Laila, features imagery of darkness and light. See Table 3. A recurring line at the end of each phrase is, "From the north to Yemen in the south, there is no ray of light." Goldberg's final verse has the narrator asking to please light a white candle in my heart's black tent. This metaphorical black tent may symbolize the soul grappling with despair, while the white candle may represent a small yet potent source of illumination, faith, and hope. The repeated final line of text, the light will shine, ultimately ends the poem on a positive note. This theme of hope in the face of despair resonates not only throughout Goldberg's literary output, but also with the social activism that defines Noah's career. The original song by Noah and Gil Dor is 2 minutes and 50 seconds long and features darbuka, tambourine, shakers, oud, strings, winds, acoustic guitar, bass guitar, and voice. Mizmor Laila features elements of Middle Eastern folk music, rock, and jazz. Scherf's arrangement of Mizmor Laila is scored for SSAATB choir, soloist, and darbuka, with an alternate version available for soprano and alto voices and darbuka. Scherf indicates moments where the percussionist may perform fills. Improvisation on provided patterns is common performance practice. The arrangement is 3.5 minutes long and mirrors the form of Noah's and Dor's original song. The key areas of C minor and F major are also retained in Scherf's arrangement. See Table 4. Scherf sets the main melodic material in the first phrase of this arrangement for a soloist, who presents the melody unaccompanied. This is then echoed by the sopranos and altos in unison. This construction mirrors the original song, in which Noah's opening vocal line is only doubled by an oud. When this melody returns, first presented in the sopranos and then by the altos, the other voices of the choir and the darbuka perform malfuf, a repeated rhythmic pattern common in Arabic music. See musical example 3. This rhythmic pattern is an asymmetrical grouping of eighth notes, 3 plus 3 plus 2, within a fast duple meter. This pattern serves as the foundational ostinato for various dances from numerous Middle Eastern cultures. Its prevalence extends across cultures in Asia, Europe, and the Mediterranean. This distinctive rhythmic structure is integrated throughout Doors and Noah's original composition. Consistent with the original song, Scherf's arrangement incorporates a pronounced change of key. A direct modulation occurs from C minor to its relative major subdominant F major. Noah employs this harmonic shift to underscore the emotionally uplifting sentiment of Goldberg's concluding verse of text. Scherf further amplifies this modal transition, enhancing the textual impact by using an imitative texture with the melody presented simultaneously in the soprano 2, tenor, and bass voices of the choir. Additionally, he thickens this texture through the use of Debussy voicings. See musical example 4. Though this work features a thick texture, syncopated choral entrances, and modal harmonies, Scherf's commitment to smooth voice leading makes it eminently singable. Anashim Tovim, or in English, Good People, is a song originally composed by Israeli singer-songwriter Naomi Shemer. Shemer was a leading Israeli musician, often called the First Lady of Israeli song and poetry. Released on her 1981 album, Al Hadvash Ve'el Ha'okez, or in English, On the Honey and the Sting, Anashim Tovim is inspired by and depicts everyday acts of kindness. The song has become a cultural emblem of contemporary Israel and continues to be widely performed by numerous popular artists. Shemer's original recording is 2 minutes and 30 seconds in duration, is set in B minor, and features piano, bass guitar, strings, drum set, and voices. The form of Shemer's Anashim Tovim is an alternating verse-chorus structure with 3 verses and 3 choruses, each consisting of 4 lines of text. See Table 5. Scherf's arrangement of Anashim Tovim is also 2 minutes and 30 seconds long and is scored for unaccompanied SAATBB choir and soloists. Scherf maintains the verse-chorus structure of the original song and includes an introduction, transition, and coda. Each verse and chorus feature distinctive harmonization, varied choral voicings, and varied textures. See Table 6. While Scherf maintains the melody of Shemer's song throughout his arrangement, he makes several notable changes. The key modulates from B minor to D minor, then to F major, and the harmonic language includes extended tertian harmonies and modal resolution. Scherf employs variations in tempo and places the melody in the soprano voices and soloists. Scherf integrates numerous vocal jazz elements throughout the work. The introduction features a portion of the refrain text presented in a syncopated rhythmic figure. Scherf scores the sopranos, altos 1 and 2, and tenor voices on an F minor 9 chord with G sharp as the root. The voicing of this chord, stacked in seconds and thirds, creates an effect reminiscent of classic close harmony vocal ensembles, such as the Andrews Sisters. See musical example 5. The material in this first verse is repeated, preceded by an anacrusic eighth note figure. The anacrusic figure features parallel motion and continued close voiced chords. The harmony travels from B minor 7 to B minor 9 to D minor 9. Scherf frequently omits thirds in these chords, which facilitates smoother voice leading and contributes to an open, jazz-influenced sound. This reflects Scherf's philosophy of keeping arrangements from being too, quote, dense or overloaded, end quote, and ensures that each vocal line is singable. The introductory material in measures 1 through 4 is expanded in the transition section in measures 49 through 58. In the second chorus, Scherf references American Dixieland jazz. The term Dixieland encompasses a New Orleans style of the 1940s and 50s, with brass band marches, French quadrilles, bougain, ragtime, and blues with collective improvisation. Scherf references this through a walking bass line, syncopated pa inner voice patterns, and solo lines that mimic guitar riffs. See musical example 6. Apart from the virtuosic guitar riff-like passages in this section, the writing reflects Scherf's commitment to practical and singable vocal lines. This is also expressed through the harmonic progression in this second chorus. The harmonies here represent a departure from the modal, non-functional characteristics of the arrangement's previous verses and chorus. The bass voice establishes a 4-to-1 progression from F to C, while inner voices outline an F major triad. The second soloist ascends stepwise to an E flat, forming a passing dominant 7th chord. The F dominant 7th chord resolves to a B minor triad in a manner consistent with the preceding measure. This section concludes with a passing G diminished 7th chord leading to F major 9, then C major, and then resolving on F major. The melody is de-emphasized. It appears only in the soprano voice and is absent from the final cadence. The most distinctive harmonic material of this arrangement is found in the coda, which features a characteristic common in Scherf's arrangements: the reharmonization of previously presented material along with text repetition. In this case, the text Anashim Tovim Meod is repeated. The texture also transitions to be more imitative. Toward the end of the coda, Scherf incorporates a G minor 11 flat 9 chord, the most dissonant sonority in the arrangement. This dissonance is contrasted with pitches in 3 octaves across the ensemble that precede and follow it. The voice leading from the unison C pitches to the dissonant chord results in vocal lines that are practical and singable. See musical example 7. Smooth voice leading is a consistent element of Scherf's compositional style, and his arrangement of Anashim Tovim serves as a strong example of this trait. Tzvi Scherf's arrangement of Niga el Hachalom, or in English, Touch the Dream, is a nuanced interpretation of a popular Israeli song by Shalom Hanoch. This song was released on Hanoch's 1983 album, Al Pnei Ha'adama, or in English, On the Ground Surface. Hanoch, widely recognized as the father of Israeli rock, has significantly influenced Israel's popular music since the 1960s. He is noted for his ability to integrate personal narratives with broader societal commentary. The lyrics of Niga el Hachalom convey a sense of sorrow regarding a lost relationship and a desire for its renewal. See Table 7. The dream mentioned in Hanoch's lyrics may be a metaphor for love and connection, which the narrator endeavors to reclaim. Hanoch employs imagery such as sand falling through fingers to signify the passage of time, and he articulates the ending of a relationship, stating, "It is over, it is finished." Despite this, the refrain expresses the narrator's conviction that they and their lost love will one day reunite and touch the dream. Hanoch's original recording of Niga el Hachalom is 3 minutes and 23 seconds in length and features electronic keyboard, synthesized strings, ambient synthesizer pads, and vocals. Its form follows a conventional popular song structure of alternating verse-chorus, including an instrumental introduction. In his arrangement, Scherf retains this verse-chorus form, but omits the introduction and incorporates an extended coda with the title of the work as the text, presented twice. Scherf's arrangement maintains the original key, but the indicated tempo is faster, approximately 80 beats per minute compared to the original 63 beats per minute. Scored for unaccompanied SATB choir, the arrangement has an approximate performance time of 2.5 minutes and is 51 measures long. The melodic material remains consistent with Hanoch's original. It is set in the soprano voices for the first 2 verses and for soprano soloist in the third. In this third verse, Scherf supports the soloist with the choir singing homophonic whole and half notes on the vowel oo. He then recreates the solo synthesizer countermelody from the original, scored in the soprano line of the choir. See musical example 8. This piece is largely set in a homophonic texture, but Scherf introduces a bass countermelody distinct from the source material, spanning measures 8 through 16. This countermelody contrasts with the original soprano line by moving in contrary motion. Although he introduces new melodic materials in the bass, the harmonic structure is the same as in the original. See musical example 9. While this harmony in Scherf's arrangement does largely adhere to the original, he embellishes, extends, or alters some of the cadences. For instance, in measure 3, Scherf includes an E major 9 chord in root position, a departure from Hanoch's original E major chord in first inversion. A similar modification occurs in measure 12, where Scherf employs a G sharp minor 7 in first inversion, in contrast to the original E major in first inversion. The extended coda of this arrangement represents a departure from the original source material. In contrast to Hanoch's original, which features one iteration of the phrase Niga al Hachalom at the end of the song, Scherf states this text twice. See musical example 10. More significantly, the altered pitches introduced in this section are novel to the arrangement. The harmonic progression moves from C major over G to C sharp diminished 7, and then to G sharp minor. Scherf utilizes a D natural in the alto voice to create smooth, descending half-step motion, forming a G sharp diminished chord, while the upper 3 voices move in contrary motion to the bass, resolving to an A dominant 7th chord. The alto and bass voices subsequently resolve down by a half step, creating an F sharp half diminished 7th chord. Scherf then navigates back to the original progression by retaining the C natural in the alto voice and employing a D sharp in the melody to create a passing F sharp diminished 7th, which ultimately resolves to the tonic E major in first inversion. Despite this highly dissonant ending, Scherf's voice leading renders this chromatic material approachable. Scherf's arrangement of Niga al Hachalom presents his ability to innovate on material from popular artists with extended harmony, counter melodies, and varied textures. Ladino traditional. The terms Sephardim, Sephardic, and Ladino will be referenced throughout the following portion of this lecture. Sephardim refers to the Jewish people who were exiled from Spain in 1492 and Portugal in 1497, and who subsequently settled in regions including the Ottoman Empire and North Africa. Sephardic refers to that materials which originate from the Sephardim. Their language, Ladino, also known as Judeo-Spanish, Judaismo, or Sephardi, is a blend of archaic Castilian Spanish with influences from Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic, Turkish, Greek, French, Portuguese, Bulgarian, and Italian. The development of Sephardic music is inextricably linked to the history of Spanish Jews following their expulsion, as they sought to maintain their culture in new environments. While Sephardic songs exhibit characteristics linking them to medieval Hispanic songs, documented texts of these are scarce before the 18th century, with primary examples typically dating from the latter half of the 20th century. Sources are predominantly written in Hebrew script, although transcriptions in Cyrillic, Greek, or Latin also exist. The body of Sephardic songs is vast and difficult to fully catalog, with the largest collection being the Menendez Pidal collection of Judeo-Spanish romances, compiled in the 1970s. This catalog encompasses nearly 500 distinct compositions and approximately 2,000 versions. While each song text had an author, many names have been lost through centuries of oral and collective transmission. These songs flourished within the Sephardic communities of the Eastern Mediterranean and the Strait of Gibraltar region, The Ladino song repertoire is categorized into three genres: romances, coplas, and cantigas or canciones, which are lyric songs. This repertoire has been preserved for over 5 centuries, and it continues to have a significant role in Sephardic community life. Puncha puncha, or in English, piercing, piercing, is an arrangement of a Sephardic folk melody in the Ladino language, and it is categorized as a romance. The lyrics of many romances and other songs can be traced to the period before the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, beginning in 1492. And numerous stories behind the romances have even earlier origins. For these folk songs, melodic variants exist in places where the Sephardim have settled, including Istanbul, Kanakkale, Greece, Morocco, and Bosnia. The texts of these songs, however, remain unchanged. It is difficult to trace the origins of folk tunes, since they are transmitted orally, and manuscripts from this time are rare. Transcriptions and recordings of this particular melody are available in the National Library of Israel. The earliest known recording is an archival entry that was made in Jerusalem by Isaac Levy on October 21st, 1966. The earliest transcription is found in the soprano voice of an arrangement by Shimon Cohen. See musical example 11. Scherf's arrangement features the same melody as the one heard in Levy's recording and used in Cohen's arrangement. The text conveys the sorrow of a person lamenting a loved one lost at sea or embarked on a prolonged voyage. Scherf includes verses 1, 2, and 4 of the original folk song. See Table 8. This arrangement is set in C minor, is 64 measures long, and has an approximate performance time of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Scored for SATB choir, Scherf indicates that it may be performed accompanied or unaccompanied. Scherf's arrangement is in a modified strophic form with a coda. The folk melody is in the soprano voice throughout the arrangement. The first line of verse text is set as a musical phrase, and the second line as another phrase, each spanning 5 measures. The melodic material of these 2 phrases is identical. The third phrase is 9 measures long and encompasses lines 3 and 4 of the verse. The fourth phrase is an exact repetition of the third. Phrases 1 constitute the A section, while phrases 3 and 4 constitute the B section. Scherf's harmonic approach is sophisticated, but also reflects his stated philosophy of composing works that are, quote, not too complicated, end quote. In the first phrase, Scherf establishes a progression that serves as the foundation for the remainder of the piece. The arrangement begins with all voices in unison and expands to 4-part harmony within the first phrase, supported by a descending chromatic bass line. This descending line evokes a ground bass, supporting the lamenting quality of the text and providing contrast to the triadic melody. The harmony of the first phrase moves from the tonic C minor chord to the major submedian via an A half diminished 7th chord and culminates in a half cadence. See musical example 12. Scherf supports the folk melody with a contrapuntally enlivened homophonic texture. Within the strophic form, Scherf introduces textural variation, with the choir humming while a soprano soloist sings the melody in the A' and B' sections. This approach emphasizes the personal nature of the text in verse 2. The coda represents the most significant departure from the arrangement's strophic structure. In this section, the melody is transferred to the lower voices of the choir and paraphrased, and the texture becomes more imitative. Textual repetition, especially of the word encontrar, or find in English, is exclusively found in the coda, sung by the soloist. This is another example of Scherf's characteristic treatment of material, found in the codas of his arrangements. See musical example 13. Puncha puncha represents Scherf's ability to highlight a traditional melody, while also adding nuance and interest through harmony and texture. Arvoles, or in English, trees, is a Sephardic folk song in the Ladino language, with textual origins tracing back to the 17th century. Also known as Arvoles or Arvoles lloran por lluvia, it is classified as a ballad in the Sephardic song tradition. Variants of this song exist, distinguished primarily by ornamental differences between the verses, as evidenced in numerous ethnographic recordings housed in the National Library of Israel. The text is largely consistent across variations, with regional spelling differences common in Ladino songs, and some versions omitting the refrain. The song gained wider recognition through a 1908 recording by Haim Effendi, which does exclude the refrain. Scherf's arrangement features a melody that closely aligns with those found in the several ethnographic recordings in the National Library of Israel. The origin of the ballad Arvoles can be traced back to the Sephardic communities of Morocco and the Eastern Mediterranean. In these regions, ballads became the most popular form of entertainment, both because of their content and the role they played in family life. These highly dramatic poems were sung by women who handed the songs down to their daughters. Their strong rhythm and repeated assonantal rhyme made them easy to memorize, as well as the ideal accompaniment for repetitive household tasks. Traditionally, the women who sang these songs would do so without any accompaniment or with a small hand drum. The ambiguity of the text allows for varied interpretations. Initially, it may appear to be a love song, but the refrain introduces a different layer of meaning. See Table 10. While the foreign land may metaphorically refer to the heart of a lovesick individual, the lyrics may also have been adapted from a medieval Spanish song depicting the farewell of a soldier who is not destined to return from war. This interpretation casts the song as a poignant goodbye to loved ones. The refrain text is derived from a Greek folk couplet. Scherf's arrangement of Arvoles is part of the collection Mas siempre yo la amé, or in English, But I Will Always Love Her, subtitled 5 Ladino Songs About Unrequited Love. This work was commissioned by the Hillel Israel Choral Organization, or ISCO, in 2023. Established in 1998, ISCO is an organization that supports choral education and professional development through conventions, workshops, and seminars. Mas siempre yo la amé is approximately 12 minutes in length and comprises 5 independent pieces. The extended work is scored for SATB choir, guitar, double bass, flute, and percussion, with an alternative version available for choir and piano of all pieces except Una Pastora. See Table 11. Arvoles is scored for the full instrumental complement, SATB choir, and soloists, and has a length of 3 minutes and 20 seconds. We are performing the piano version today. However, the discussion that follows refers to the instrumental version. The folk melody is in the bass voice for the A section of the work. Afterwards, Scherf places it in the soprano and alto voices. Although the verse text is 4 lines long, the original melody constitutes 2 large phrases comprised of lines 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, respectively. Scherf sets the first 2 lines of text for the A section of his arrangement, and the 3rd and 4th lines is the B section. The refrain text is also 2 lines long, with differing melodic material in the folk song. Scherf uses this as the C section of his arrangement, which becomes the refrain. Scherf employs varied textures in his arrangement, differentiating the A and B sections. In the A section, the basses carry the traditional melody, with the first 2 lines of text, while the remaining voices provide harmonic support using oo vowels. The sopranos, altos, and tenors enter with their accompanimental material on different beats, contributing to a thick texture. The instruments further enhance this section with syncopated countermelodies. This textural approach allows the bass melody to emerge clearly. Upper neighbor tones ornament the melodic line, and the dense texture provides interest and forward motion. The B section, which includes the second half of the verse text, contrasts with the polyphonic A section. It is set in contrapuntally enlivened homophony, with the melody featured prominently in the soprano voice. Scherf cuts the instruments for the first measure of this section. All of the voices begin in unison, and this is followed by a descending chromatic line in the lower voices. When they re-enter, the instruments adopt an um-pa figure. While similar to the rhythmic figure employed in the A section, the instrumental texture here is chordal rather than polyphonic. This accentuates the rhythmic figure while maintaining overall consistency in the arrangement. See musical example 14. In the second half of the refrain, Scherf employs divisi in the choir, increasing the vertical density of the arrangement. The melody is initially presented in the tenor 2 voice, then by all tenors thereafter. This de-emphasizes the melody for the first time in the arrangement, contrasting significantly with previous sections. Harmonic progressions thus far in the arrangement have been largely functional, incorporating passing secondary dominant chords and plagal cadences. However, this section features the most dissonant chords and least functional harmonic relationships in the arrangement. The chord voicings facilitate smooth voice leading, ensuring the singability of this passage despite its chromatic nature. See musical example 15. Measure 38 features a B diminished 7th chord, followed by an E flat augmented chord, which resolves to an F minor 7th via a C minor 7th. Scherf minimizes the accompaniment in this section to dyads, sparse open chords, and a cadential movement at the conclusion. This is then contrasted by a plagal cadence in the subsequent 2 measures, with a tonal leap from the 5th to the 1st scale degree in the bass. Arvoles exemplifies Scherf's ability to preserve traditional melodies while providing nuanced harmonic and textural material. Conclusion. Zivy Scherf's arrangements are sophisticated yet accessible interpretations of their source material. These works, though performed and commissioned by prominent ensembles in Israel and internationally, have largely remained unexamined in scholarly discourse. With this study, I seek to address this by providing a biography of the composer, a complete catalog of his choral works to date, cultural and historical contexts, and textual and musical analyses to increase awareness and understanding of this body of repertoire. This concludes the lecture portion of today's lecture recital, but before the choir takes the stage, I would like to make some acknowledgments. First, to the singers of Recital Choir. Thank you for your hard work on this music in every rehearsal. I especially want to thank my friends who are not enrolled in the Recital Choir course, but have chosen to sing in this lecture recital as a personal favor. Thank you. Second, I would like to thank my other friends and my family for their continued support throughout this degree. I'd like to recognize my mother especially. She has supported me in my musical journey, from playing the flute horribly in 6th grade band, to screaming into a microphone horribly in the many metal bands of my 20s, to now. I would not be here today were it not for the love and support of my family. Finally, I would like to thank the professors of my committee, to Dr. Mugman and Dr. Davis for their insightful comments on the proposal for tonight's lecture, and to their continued work editing my final document. Thank you. To Dr. Decker, who has been one of the kindest people I've had the pleasure of knowing, and whose mentorship and composition is something I will value for the rest of my life. Thank you. To Dr. Higgs, who has been a colleague, collaborator, friend, and a model of scholarly research. Thank you. And last but not least, to Dr. Schauer. I can hardly put into words the gratitude I have for Dr. Schauer's mentorship over the past 5 years, through both my master's and doctoral degree. In that time, I've learned what it means to conduct, in every facet of this skill. And that is thanks to Dr. Schauer's unwavering professionalism, poise, and commitment to artistry. She has graciously given me multiple opportunities to contribute scholarly research in our field, and that has helped me dramatically improve my academic writing and lecturing skills. She has been a role model in every sense of the term, and I will carry the things I have learned under her mentorship for the rest of my life. I feel a great honor and privilege to have been able to work with her during my time in Tucson, Arizona. Thank you. At this time, I invite Recital Choir to take the stage to perform the choral music of To Be Scherf.
הם אנשים טובים, כן אנשים טובים,
העיניים תסכלו סביב,
הם אנשים
נגמר
טובים,
החורף ונכנס האביב, בשדה ליד הדרך יש בגניות, אל תגידו לי שכל זה לא יכול להיות.
אנשים טובים, אנשים טובים, והם זמרים אנשים טובים מאוד, אנשים טובים, יודעים את הדרך, שם אפשר לצעוד.
איש אחד קנה
Presta Sa